I think the president is confused completely. And I sympathize with him because I think he's a president who has the highest numbers of advisors ever recorded. I think he has over 27 advisors, the last time I counted them. I don't know whether a quarter of them tells him to go to United States, then the half of the others tell him to go to US, to Chinese, to the China people, or what they advise him to do. But to me, as an elected member of parliament, my concern is not about his image, because his image is already dented completely internationally. His image is already dented. The day our kids were killed in the streets, the day our children were abducted, that was it with William Ruto's international image. We sat and watched and listened to new parties coming in, new parties getting new names, and many others in the pipeline coming up. And I think that's the vibrancy that accompanies a democracy. And this is what we fought for. I mean, during the second liberation of this political topography of this country, we all looked forward, to multipartism, to the freedom, the sea of democracy. And so that is what we are enjoying. However, I'm one person who thinks that sometimes political parties are just vehicles that are used by certain individuals to achieve whatever they want to achieve politically, but not per se to achieve what they want to achieve for the people who they lead or who they govern. To me, political parties are vehicles to provide some space for some politicians to just get what they want. Because if you ask me right now, Deba, what is our priority? For me, as a leader representing 100,000 plus voters who queued for me, who queued to vote for me, what's their priority? Really, do they care whether you are in UDA or you are in URP or you are in whatever party? They don't care. All they care is whether they can pay their school fees, they can afford medication, they can go to their farms and produce for their domestic consumption and for their trade. All they care is whether you as their representative or their politician or their son or daughter is facilitating their trade and improving their livelihoods. So for me, I think this is not the right time for us to actually even get carried away to discuss parties. Finance bill is on the pipeline. I mean, what is in that finance bill? I think what we should be actually be talking about is how to stop this government from punitive taxation, how to stop parliament from allowing executive to take over and run away with the agenda of expenditure versus revenue raising in this country, how to stop this government from over borrowing. That is what we should be discussing, because political parties, Gachagua coming up with a political party, and I'm not saying this because I don't believe in his party, or rather I believe in his party because I'm not here, not neither there, because I don't think this is the right time for us to discuss parties. But for Gachagua to come up with a party, he's just trying to become relevant. He just wants to sustain relevancy in political field and to make sure that he's on the table, when that time comes. But how much time has he spent to talk about finance bill and what's coming up in finance bill and what the previous finance bills have achieved or lost? We have thousands of companies shutting down. Sorry to talk about this. I'm not a pessimist, but sometimes it's good to speak like it is or as it is. So I think, to me, Debao, I would not be so much interested to talk about parties, because, like I said, parties are people's wardrobes, shelves with many different colors, or coat of many colors, and they remove the color that they want to use for the season just to win it and to have. Senator Hillary, you are out of order when you say that we are lamenting, we have negative energy. When we raise issues that concerns the people who sent us to parliament to advocate and to make laws around making their lives better. I spoke about the pending and the unsold tea. And I clearly said that tea belongs to Kenyan farmers, Kenyan's farmers tea. I clearly stated that that tea is unsold because it was destined for the Sudan market. Mind you, Kenyans have invested heavily to even acquire the permit to export tea from Kenya to Sudan. The executive officer of the Republic of Kenya, none other than the President of the Republic of Kenya, interfered with the marketing of that tea. I have said it here and I will repeat that over 220 food containers are lying in Mombasa and others are lying in Port Sudan. And by the way, the first blunder that the president did allowed us to continue selling tea as long as we were given permit to sell the tea. When the president went live on air on a certain radio stations in a regional area in Mount Kenya and said that even after he interfered with whatever he had done previously, we are still, actually he was bragging, we are still selling tea. Sudanese market was completely locked. As we speak, the tea that is affected is not even from the mountain. The tea that is actually affected is not from Mount Kenya region or Central Kenya region. The tea that is affected is tea that comes from your area, Senator, from your area, from the Nande Hills, from Kericho. When I'm speaking, I'm not speaking because I come from Mount Kenya. I am speaking because I am a member of parliament representing many Kenyans. So when you say that that is negative energy and it is lamentation, do you want me to keep quiet? Yet I'm familiar with the tea marketing and I know the jam and the mess the president has done on our farmers. If that is what you call negative energy and lamentation, then I want to ask Kenyans to allow me to even write a book of lamentation. Because I'll continue lamenting until the government put in place the right policy. I'm going to continue lamenting because there are so many areas that I need to lament on so that people like Hillary can hear me properly and stop looking like they are here to advocate for the government's achievement, yet negating the goofs and the gaps of this government. How can I be smiling? How can I not speak when hundreds and thousands of our university students cannot access exam rooms because HELB has not submitted the money that they're supposed to have submitted to universities for those students to sit for their exams? And when I speak about that, I am very passionate because students have been walking to my office. Many of them, not even my voters. Others are not even my voters. If I can share what I have on my inbox on this X account, many students reaching out to me to help them to intervene so that they can sit for exams. Their parents have already paid their household contribution as required. HELB has refused to remit the portion of the money they're supposed to remit to universities. These students have become victims of the mess, errors of commission.
Thank you. Honorable Wamuchomba, your 3 minutes are over.
When I speak like that, and the senator comes and says that I am lamenting or I have negative energy, then I offer myself to be the leader of lamentation and the leader of negative energy until I advocate for the rights of the people I represent. The issue of the... Can you hear me?
Perfectly.
You can hear me?
Perfectly. Yes.
Okay. We have a few questions to ask ourselves whether what our president has committed to himself, he has committed himself to, is it allegiance to the Chinese? And what he did on the 24th of May, when he had his trip to the United States, and he sat on the chair of the Oval Office in the United States of America, Washington D.C. Was it alignment to the U.S. or he pledged allegiance? You know, this issue is a very serious issue and is going to bring about a lot of diplomatic fires that maybe with time we may not be able to switch off those or to put off those fires. My colleague said here that we are lamenting and we are putting a lot of negative energy, but allow me to continue injecting the same because I am worried that before the president went to Washington D.C. on the 24th of May last year, but 2024, he went there because he needed some support. I believe because I understand that the president requires a lot of capital injection, a lot of support in funding, so that he can be able to complete majority of the stalled projects in our backyards. Fortunately or unfortunately, majority of the projects that are stalled were Chinese supported. They were supported through projects and the contractors that are Chinese by origin, and the funding was coming through the Chinese banks. And therefore, him pledging allegiance, allow me to say that, or aligning himself with the Americans meant that the Chinese had to go slow to supporting his projects. I'm sure you all know that the president has a serious volcano of pressure coming from stalled projects. And I'm sure you know that the president needs to complete the stalled projects before he starts afresh. Something that really puts him at the crossroad with the local voters. So President having gone to US and waiting to see whether they are going to support him and getting frustrated, to me I interpreted that he had to go to China to see or look for ways to jumpstart his projects. And he came back singing and praising and saying that he has been given money and now stalled projects are going to get completed. So we should be asking ourselves, are we the beneficiaries of this diplomatic mess, confusion? Are we benefiting or are we losing? From where I come from, I think the president is confused completely. And I sympathize with him because I think he's a president who has the highest numbers of advisors ever recorded. I think he has over 27 advisors, the last time I counted them. I don't know whether a quarter of them tells him to go to United States, then the half of the others tell him to go to US, to Chinese, to the China people, or what they advise him to do. But to me, as an elected member of parliament, my concern is not about his image, because his image is already dented completely internationally. My concern right now, because I'm already done with that, my concern is he going to complete that Chinese road that was started in 2021? Whether he gets money from Americans or from Chinese, my concern is he going to finish that Mau Mau road? My concern is he going to finish or complete that stalled dam, Karimeno Dam and many other dams? That's my concern for now. Whether he has a good image internationally or not, for now, I am not very concerned because his image is already dented. The day our kids were killed in the streets, the day our children were abducted, that was it with William Ruto's international image. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Wamuchomba.